Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. My name is Brittany Page, and I am the guest host for you today. I have my own channel here on YouTube where I host my own show called The Page Perspective, and I would love it if you would join me over there. Now, we may be weeks out from the election, but the Florida legislature has gained another Republican, and it's because of a flip-flop. And this isn't the first time that this has happened either. Former Democrat and now Republican Florida Representative Susan Valdes has switched her party registration after issuing a statement on the social media platform that Elon Musk ruined. And before I read Susan Valdes's statement, I want to refresh your memory on another case of a Democrat betraying their constituents by changing their party affiliation shortly after an election. Do you remember Trisha Cotham? It's useful to talk about the case of Trisha Cotham because we don't know a lot about what motivated Susan Valdes to switch her party registration yet. The reporting hasn't dug up the truth like it has with Trisha in North Carolina, but Trisha's case may be a preview of what's to come as far as Susan's true motivations for switching parties. So, as a brief refresher, last year, Trisha Cotham ran for North Carolina House of Representatives and won as a Democrat. But 3 months after winning her election, she switched her party affiliation to Republican. This was a massive blow because it gave Republicans a supermajority. And I'm going to read some reporting from the New York Times because we now know what was happening behind the scenes with Trisha in North Carolina, and it may give us a glimpse of what's to come with Susan in Florida. Quote, when Trisha Cotham, a former Democratic lawmaker, was considering another run for the North Carolina House of Representatives, she turned to a powerful party leader for advice. Then when she jumped into the Democratic primary, she was encouraged by other formidable allies. What was unusual and not publicly known at the time was that the influential people who had privately encouraged Ms. Cotham to run were Republicans, not Democrats. One was Tim Moore, the Republican Speaker of the State House. Another was John Bell, the Republican Majority Leader. 3 months after Ms. Cotham took office in January, she delivered a mortal shock to Democrats and to abortion rights supporters. She switched parties and then cast a decisive vote on May 3rd to override a veto by the state's Democratic governor and enact a 12-week limit on most abortions. North Carolina's most restrictive abortion policy in 50 years. And this was a woman who campaigned as a progressive on social issues. She co-sponsored a bill to codify Roe v. Wade, performed as though she was supportive of abortion rights, and then 3 months after her election, cast a vote to limit abortion rights, giving Republicans a win. Now, this is very similar to Susan Valdes in Florida, who also has a history of supporting abortion rights. She was outspoken against Florida's 6-week abortion ban, for example, as you can see in this tweet. But like Trisha, she is suddenly reversing course and joining the party that wants to restrict bodily autonomy. Reading from part of her statement here, quote, I will not waste my final 2 years in the Florida legislature being ignored in a caucus whose leadership expects me to ignore the needs of my community. Effective immediately, I will change my registration from a Democrat to Republican and will join the Republican conference in the Florida House of Representatives. Our Speaker, Representative Daniel Perez, has laid out a vision for the House that focuses on empowering House members to work on real problems facing our communities. That's what I want to be part of. I want to roll up my sleeves and work. I want to be part of solving problems for West Tampa. I'm tired of being the party of protesting when I got into politics to be the party of progress. I know I won't agree with my fellow Republican House members on every issue, but I know that in their caucus, I will be welcomed and I will be treated with respect. I love my community and I will continue to fight every day to benefit the people of West Tampa, Hillsborough County, and the state of Florida. And in my heart, I know the best way to do that is to stand with Speaker Perez and join the Republican supermajority in the Florida House of Representatives. There are several things that jump out to me here, and I'd be curious to know what you think about this, so be sure to let me know in the comments. But it seems very self-involved. It's vague. That is certainly obvious, but there are no direct calls to specific action. There's no highlighting specific hurdles put in her way as far as policies go. In fact, there's no mention of policy at all. What exactly is it that will make you more effective with the Republican supermajority? Especially when, as she represented to her constituents, they don't have shared values and policy positions. There's a focus on being welcomed and treated with respect, as though there is some personal drama that occurred that made her switch teams. But that doesn't sound right when we're talking about values, principles, policies to improve people's lives. Your view of those things shouldn't change based on who is welcoming to you. Maybe it does for Susan, though, because if you look at her Twitter page, it is filled with retweets from Republicans welcoming her, including Governor Ron DeSantis, who posted, quote, "Welcome to the GOP, Rep. Valdez. Congrats to Speaker Daniel Perez on the biggest Republican majority in the history of the Florida House." Imagine voting for this woman and then learning that she's switching sides and Ron DeSantis is tweeting praise for her. I mean, it's truly horrifying stuff. The juxtaposition, if you juxtapose her statement there with this op-ed that she wrote just last year, where she said, quote, "It is as if the leaders of the state have picked up an autocracy playbook and slowly but surely are implementing dangerous proposals using their power to serve themselves and their cronies, but not the rest of us. Divide and conquer is a familiar tactic in autocratic governments, creating manufactured crises that arouse resentments and prejudices between groups, while leaders make decisions in the dark, leaving people deprived of daily needs and fundamental freedoms. Did I mention the open attacks on Black and LGBTQ plus communities that have been normalized in the Sunshine State? Or the fact that women can't make their own medical decisions in Florida?" Susan, what is happening here? I mean, this is stuff that causes people to lose faith in politics, in government, in the very process that we need people to have faith in order to facilitate the change that we need to see. So, how long is it before we get the truth here? What is happening behind the scenes? Was Susan working with Republicans, planning this switch? And for how long? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, The Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, "Please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman." Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.